Recording is on.
Okay.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Birgit. How's life?
Very good. We are opening up here.
Okay. Looks like we have 17 people, and maybe wait 1 minute and we can start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay. You have a chat in the left, right? So if you have any questions, so you can write it down there, and we will ask you to ask you a question. So we will follow the chat information and hope that you can also ask questions with voice. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Very good.
Okay. Is everyone online? Okay, great. Hello, everyone. So today we have a, let's say, open discussion, so everyone can also share your opinion. And the theme is film green shooting. So we decided to make on May online discussion because every May we have Barents Ecology Film Festival. But because of coronavirus time, we can't make, let's say, like original film festival, but it's getting a new possibility. So right now we are connecting with several countries online, and we can have open discussion. So and we're really happy to have several people who is already has really great experience in film green shooting and supporting film green shooting. So today I hope that we can we already had several events which are going on, and Birgit today will tell a little bit more about that. And I hope that everyone can be involved in our discussion. So as I said before, you can chat your questions, and you can also turn on your video and try to hands up if you have any question right now. So good, Birgit?
Yeah. Hi.
Yes, so I give you second one. Okay, great.
Yeah, really, thank you very much for organizing this. It is great since there's no Cannes Film Festival and we cannot have a green panel discussion there this time. So it's wonderful that we get a chance to get together and talk a little bit more. So for all the people who don't know exactly what do we mean by green film production, so I just give a very brief introduction what it is. So to introduce myself, my name is Birgit Heidsiek, and I'm the publisher of Green Film Shooting magazine. And these are the magazines I have published in the past a couple of years. Also the Green Cinema Handbook. And so talking about climate change, every year we experience it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. So therefore it is really crucial to take action and to use the carbon footprint, which is true for also for any film and television and media production, because it also comes back, the climate change in terms of disasters. There are more and more weather extremes as we all experiences. So 1 ton of carbon emissions really leads to 3 square meters of ice, which is melting in the Arctic, which means since one feature film produces between 650 and 1,000 tons of carbon, or maybe smaller productions less. But so these are at least a couple of soccer fields of ice which is melting. So this is why we should do something and really reduce our impact on the environment, which starts with communication, what can we do, which a lot of measures in the production office. So it's all about planning. And so in the office, there are a lot of things we can do. But also if it comes to shooting, because most of the carbon emissions are generated by energy and by transportation. So it depends, of course, on the script, but the less locations we have, the less traveling there is to do. So this is a very sustainable film in terms of shooting locations, because it was mainly shot at one location, 3 days in Quiberon, which was at the Berlinale competition 2 years ago. So this is something to consider. And then, of course, if it comes to transportation, it's always good to come by bike, by foot, by train, by public transportation. Of course, it's not always possible for a big film crew, and of course, we need to transport equipment. There are also solutions like we have hybrid cars, or if they can be powered with electric energy or with liquefied petroleum gas or compressed natural gas. There's also the solution of fuel cell becoming more and more popular. This is also becoming an issue. So energy on set is always a big concern. And here in the UK, they are also building up a pilot project that people will get the energy from the grid instead of using generators. And I know in Belgium this has been done also, and in Paris and in Germany. And we have also a company which has developed a huge battery which goes up to 100 kilowatt. So you can recharge this battery and shoot with it all day long. And there's another company, they have developed a hybrid battery which can also be powered with LPG gas or photovoltaic. And then fuel cells, there's also a European project by Horizon, and they will come up this year with fuel cell cells, which are generators that will be powered. So there are a lot of innovations coming in terms of energy. And so, of course, on set, there's a need to use a lot of light, and also there are several solutions. So the best is to work with available light. And then if it comes to production design, but I don't want to have such a long talk, so I stop here and just say in every department there are measures we can take if it's really in the office, if it's energy, if it's transportation, if it's costumes or props, production design, hair and makeup. Catering is also a big theme because it comes with a lot of waste if we use single plastic. And of course, there's also always a huge discussion, should there be any meat served, yes or no? And then people are really getting sometimes very emotional, because green production should never be like this, that they feel like somebody is banning things. This is not very good. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. I see that Nicolas also here. So yes.
Yes, and thank you very much, Anna, and thank you to all organizers for having organized these conferences in the circumstances we know, and for having organized the festival in the circumstances we know. Can didn't manage to do so, but at least, Anya, you managed to do so, and that's great, and I think that's great to all of us. For those who don't know me yet, I'm Nicolas Imbert. I'm the Executive Director of an environmental NGO whose name is Green Cross. It has been created in 1993 by Mikhail Gorbachev, just following up the Rio Summit in 1992. And we are very much dedicated to the conservation of environment in the purpose of humankind present and future. And the reasons for which we've introduced to the film industry is that, of course, one of our CEOs is Jean-Michel Cousteau, who is a movie maker and the son of Commandant Cousteau, and also because we worked with Schwarzenegger on a movie called Wonders of the Sea 3D. And this movie has been registered and performed in some conditions of a green movie. And it's very difficult, as Birgit try and explain very well, to know what a green movie is about, to know what to do, and to know how to do it. From an NGO perspective, I would say that people want green movies to take care about their energy, about their waste, about their transportation and mobility, For example, it's more and more difficult to use helicopters, and on the other side, it's so easy to use drone that we can make great things with drone, but also it deals with animal welfare, it deals with social responsibility, and it's very variable from one country to another, or even from one production to another, to know what are the priorities in terms of green movies, even if we are sharing a common practice and a common set. Of course, there are standards. And EcoProd, for example, which is very widely used in France, is one of the standards. And I know that there are many and many standards, and most of the standards can complement each other. So it's very good to manage a relationship with one standard, but also to have an eye and an ear open about the other standards. And if we are speaking about the feedback we have, specifically as far as Green Cross is concerned, we've experienced different opportunities. It's good to deal, for example, with energy management on site, but we have to take in mind that it depends on the location. And if we do have the suppliers involved, the ecosystem involved, and all the third parties and all the stakeholders who are involved in a movie taking care about the energy, that's great. But it has to be done from the very beginning. For waste management, it's more or less the same. In terms of circular economy, there's a lot we can do by reusing as much as we can, and by making sure that if something is done on purpose for one specific movie, then it can have a second life, a third life, and as many different lives as this is possible. And it opens great opportunity also to communicate between the people who are working on the movie at a specific point in time, and the audience and the people who will the best ambassadors and readers of the movie, because they will be convinced about the quality of the production from a green perspective. And I would also want, without being too long, to point out different set of opportunities. One is virtualization. For example, it's more and more difficult to have animals involved on a movie, and in the meantime to be a green movie. But there is so much we can do with already existing pictures and 3D models that it's easy to virtualize animals from the sea or wild animals in a very good perspective. And the other thing I would want to point out is also with the distribution and with the outstream value. If you can communicate on the fact that the film was very sincere and very proud to be green and had some achievements in terms of being a green movie, then it's also one more asset in the communication downstream, and even one more asset with some national distributors. So we know that we are all walking the talk. We still have a lot to learn, and we still have a lot to learn, and we still have some major steps to be won in terms of green movies. But it's really worth doing this work, and it's really something enthusiastic we could communicate on later on, and something also very transparent and very positive to motivate the people when making the movie. So that was my introductory remark, and I'm really excited that the discussion is happening now.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that it's really good to have involved also environmental organization, because if you take we take people who is making production with and people who is supporting film production, and it's really important to also use experience from environmental organization who is already done a huge like, let's say, a huge work in our projects, which are also connected to production. So, and to organize sustainability life for people, so we can use this experience also in film production part. So thank you very much. And I want to ask everyone to have a short introduction about yourself, because we want to know who is in our meeting, and maybe who is. Do you have any um, film production in green film production already, or you have just you are interested about that and you want to have uh, to shoot or maybe to do next your movie as a film green production. And we will also ask our colleagues from Belgium to tell his story about their experience about already support. As I said, from Barents Ecology Film Festival, we already had a special nomination for film production, green film production films, and we done first one 3 years ago. So, and we got a lot of movies which are produced as a film sustainability way. And for us, it's huge questions. In a huge amount of films, how to select these films which are done by environmental production way. So we do that, but we will really happy to have support for future with all who is participating in this webinar. Um, okay. So yeah, thank you everyone who is chatting in our chat, because you can tell stories too. Okay, it's nice to have also people who is writing thesis about sustainable film production. Thank you very much. And Tim, can you tell a little bit more about, yeah, so how is it? We had questions from before from our audience. How's it works to support a film green production, and also how to how's it works with co-production part, because we have right now filmmakers from different countries. So if we want to have a co-production in your country, how it can be works. So what's criteria you two can you tell your experience?
I work, first and for all, I know fuck about filmmaking. I'm an environmentalist and I work for a film fund as a sustainability coach. And we as a fund, we decided in 2013 that every filmmaker that gets money from us for production is obliged to think about sustainability. So it's like giving your children pocket money and you tell them it's not for cigarettes. We give filmmakers like you pocket money, a lot of pocket money. It's taxpayers' money, but we link it to, okay, we want you to think about your impact. And we started that production, but and I know that this discussion, this debate is about production, but we should be aware that it starts when you're at school. The next important step is when you write a story, because when you write a script and it is about climate change, it's sustainable as a story. But if you write Superman stays home instead of Superman goes to South Africa, you will also have an impact on the production side of your production. So also screenwriters, writers should be aware of the role they play. It's about production. And then the next step in that value chain is cinema and festivals, because why bother making a sustainable film and fly to Cannes and waste your CO2 production by taking the plane to Cannes? So for me, it's about the entire value chain. And we started in 2013 by calculating a lot of CO2, but more and more we use the Sustainable Development Goals as a moral compass. I will type the link in the chat afterwards. and it's like it's a result from the United Nations, and they developed 17 different sustainable topics. And it's much more human and much more understandable when I talk with filmmakers, because it's about gender, it's about education, it's about peace, about health, about biodiversity, about waste. So it's much more than just carbon or CO2 or climate change. And my job at the fund is to guide people that are active as a professional within that broad value chain, and to coach them, to help them to do a better job. And I also learned that instead of talking in problems, I try to talk in solutions. If I talk to a producer, they already have 1,000 problems to solve, and they don't have budget. And if you then tell them, now you have to be sustainable on top of all that other crap, they won't do it. But when you say, okay, think about not using your generator and save that amount of money, that's much more like solution oriented instead of like giving them an extra problem. And Anna, you asked about co-productions. It's a big issue, because I think that when you want to talk about sustainability, it's about making the right decisions. It's about using financing like we do in Flanders to push towards sustainability. So you need clever choices, clever logistics, clever financing, and some of the rules that institutes like us developed in the past about co-production, they are from another era. They are from the time where we wanted to attract as many companies to your region and to make as much money as possible. But the rules that funds use to allow co-productions, they are in many cases not sustainable at all, because why should I ask a production company from Germany to come to Belgium just to shoot and spend some money, while they can easily make the same or better film in Germany by staying home? So I think that there's a challenge for funding and policymakers to think about that, and it's not easy because it's rethinking a complete financial process, a scheme. So I think that it's a big challenge, and I think that it might work, and it's also work we try to do at funding level with groups like Cineregio, EFAT, and Green Screen, for instance, is to exchange into work on a uniform approach. Because imagine that you're an American co-production, you come to Europe, you need to follow 5 different schemes. It's stupid. It would be a joke. So I think that the future might be that we have like one way of following up sustainable choices, and one way of reporting, and one way to give a sustainable Oscar, and that system might also help like people like Anna, who's organizing a festival, or when you have a cinema, that you could also say, okay, dear customers, I only choose films which thought about sustainable impact. But now it's impossible to evaluate that. So maybe also that's a level where if you think about, should we need a green Oscar to promote people and to push people? But I think that what's really good is to see all these people here from different countries. I think it's also good, and I want to make publicity. There's a Facebook group about sustainable filming, where people from all over Europe, like 170 people, are exchanging stuff at all these different levels of the value chain. So I think that by working together and by talking and by exchanging, we can go much further than if everybody of us would be doing that separately. Point.
Yeah, thank you very much. And it's a good point to have something like as a green Oscar, and I think that Birgit can tell a little bit more about all kind of awards which are already right now. I mean, it's already several awards which are going on right now as a green film, and I think green. Birgit, can you tell a bit more about that? But I have a question about, for example, right now in COVID time, in quarantine time, we don't have any a lot of traveling. And it means that, for example, if I want to shoot, for example, in Belgium, I don't need. I can I can make some let's say we have a script and we can have a partner as a production company in Belgium, and it means that, for example, we can shoot way part in Belgium. So but we have, for example, like several countries which are involved in our project, and our film, for example, wants to follow the criteria of a green production. So yeah, that was my question. Actually, you already told. So which rules and criteria we should like follow as a main? What you think? And for example, it's a question to everyone, so everyone can also take, but my team can start in. So like for example, we have a shooting in Belgium and Germany and France and UK and Russia, and we want to follow the we want to have what our film will be environmental way done. So it means that we need to make production in several countries with same, let's say, criteria. And for example, if we want to give to Belgium a part, what you think how it will be right? And because we have like that already cases, so
I think the best solution is to stay home and film it in your country, because from the moment I will tell an anecdote. I coached a Flemish gangster movie. They were hyper sustainable. They rented an apartment for their staff, so they didn't have to travel up and down from set to their home. And during 28 days, they did everything they could to be sustainable. And then they took the plane to Morocco to shoot 2 scenes. One was sniffing coke in a discotheque. The other one was shooting on the beach. And by just taking the plane with 30 people, cast and crew, they doubled their environmental impact.
but it's about Norway, not if we will not to travel, but in our script it's staying that it's some like Flemish part. I mean that if in I don't think that we will get a lot of like opportunity to travel in next like I don't kill myself, but I mean like in 1 year. But I mean, so it means that if you have already in your script to some like a big experience in the different countries. So do you have any like idea how it can be works?
So the question is, if to in Corona times, how to make films and from different countries and work together.
Like when we will be already from going out from lockdown, but we still cannot travel a lot.
Yeah, but I think that I'm just dreaming, but maybe that my film crews can make that part of your film in my region and send it over by WeTransfer, whatever data service. And maybe we should be clever in the way we make films. And if you can make people believe that Superman can fly, maybe you can also make believe that what you've shot in Russia was shot in Belgium with clever photoshopping or special effects. Or I've seen movies in Belgium where they recreate the desert on a pile of sand in a building site. And so I think there's a lot of creativity, and yeah, I think that when I look now at the Belgian film industry, they are everything is stopped. There are no productions at all at this moment, and there will be a big challenge to start again and to first to restart all the projects that have halted, and secondly to find money to start projects. And so maybe we need less films, but more clever films and better written stories, and maybe we should not. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
We have one question from Anna Antonova. Is she here? Anna, can you hear us? Okay. But my question is, yeah, can you hear us? Great. Can you ask your question? Sorry, some problem with voice.
Yeah.
Corona.
Okay, maybe Anna can try to manage. Anna? Okay, it's a problem with voice still. Um, yeah, so the question from Anna was, is there any diagnosis or some kind of test to determine level of sustainability or production company? And Anna, she's from Green Cross, Greenpeace Russia, and WWF. Collaborate with that. Okay, she's an editor and a script writer. So I can team and maybe Birgit.
Yeah,
So can you answer for her question?
of course. I mean, if it comes to testing or to comparing the impact of the damage to the environment, if we are measuring it in carbon emissions, of course, carbon calculators can be compared. I mean, there are many different countries and regions which have developed their carbon calculators. But the thing is that all of the calculators are working a little bit differently, and not every calculator is designed for any kind of production, and they're also covering different areas. So in the British, for example, there is no catering. Well, in France, you have 3 carbon calculators for film production, for television, for animation. I think Joanna can tell us much more about it. There's one in Flanders. So in Germany, there's one in development. And but I think sustainability is even more than just comparing numbers. Of course, it's very crucial to get data and to compare them. But on the other hand, this is also taking a lot of effort and action if you really want to do it right and not just on the surface. If you just enter, I've used a car, of course, it would be crucial to compare, is it a small electric car, is it a hydrogen powered car, or is it maybe a big diesel truck? So it really also depends on the quality of the carbon calculator, and I understand it's really a lot of work if you really want to feed it with the right data for the entire production. Then this is also an extra job, and you have to decide if you want to divide maybe your time to train the crew and to really reduce the impact. So but I understood you also wanted to talk me about awards.
Yeah.
And so I can just tell a little bit in Germany, the green production started out in 2011 when the green shooting card was created, which is not an award, but it's a green label if a film goes green in a certain way and has done in the most important departments action, like in the fields of energy and transportation, catering, waste, camera, light, so all the classical department. But if we're talking about green production and sustainability, we also have to understand that on one hand, there's green production, and sustainability is, as Tim already pointed out, is wider because there is the ecological sustainability, but there's also the social sustainability, which involves how people are really remunerated for their work. And in the end, it does come all together. But in green film production, the focus is often on the ecological impact of a film production. And this is already huge and often very, very difficult to reach. I mean, if we are talking about co-productions and trying to produce films without traveling, I mean, in digital times, anything can be done. I mean, if we look at movies like Avatar, where you have just the actors and the whole environment is just digital, of course you can do that. But this also requires a lot of CGI, computer-generated images work, and which is very expensive, and also it requires a lot of energy. In terms of the case of the Avatar, they are lucky because James Cameron has powered all its studio with solar power, but this is not always the case. I mean, here in Germany we have one studio in Bavaria which has really 98% of its energy from renewables, but it also depends on the country. If there's a lot of coal power, then also energy is not very sustainable. In the Scandinavian countries, where you have a lot of water power, or also in Austria, it's a different situation. So in film production, the possibilities are also always dealing with the infrastructure of the country. So what kind of energy is available? Is there a waste management system? How far are we going with circular economy? Are there any products which have really maybe eco design considered? And of course, everything always starts with awareness, and without awareness, it's not really able to reach something, because sustainability starts really in the people's mind, and then the will to turn it into real action. And there's often a missing link, that people maybe want to do it, but they don't know how to do it, or it's then too much trouble to do it. This is also a big issue to solve, because for actors it's easier to take a plane home instead of taking a train. They think it is, although it's even in some cases almost like the same.
Okay, thank you. Do anyone wants to add something? Because I know that
Maybe short.
yes. Okay.
There's also a question from Daniel.
Yeah, I want to, but he won't actually asking a question, so let's give him a voice a little bit. Daniel?
What?
No. Daniel from Erdelay?
From Hungary.
Yeah.
Hungary.
Yes. Hello, Daniel.
Okay.
Yes.
Now do you hear me?
Yes. Oh,
Now
hello.
do you see me?
Yes.
Okay. So my question is to Birgit or to anyone, but are there EU common EU rules for the certificate of sustainability films? Because we in Hungary, we work a lot of American movies, international movies, co-productions, but I always find these productions come to these East countries, and they don't care about environment. They don't care about saving anything. They just spending, and wasting. So, are there any possibility to give these productions a list or something that EU recommends this, EU recommends that, to help them to saving the earth?
There are a lot of recommendations, but they are not officially on a European level. They are from many different countries or from regions. I mean, it all started in screen production in 2008, and it was on one hand the Producers Guild of America, the PGA Green, that really filed a list of best practices and recommendation, and also parallel EcoPort developed something, and then more and more happened all over Europe. But for the European Union, this is quite a subject they haven't really tackled, because their focus was in film production a couple of years was really on the single common market, on digitization, all these concerns, and I approached and others too the EU reps a couple of times. But so since this year, since we have this European Green Deal, they have become really interested in green production. And but now, due to the coronavirus, everything is really down. But I think this will become a big issue, that in the future, in the near future, that also financing will be linked to certain criteria for green production, because there are requirements to do this also for other industries and businesses already. So I mean, in Germany we're having this huge discussion: should Lufthansa airline get a lot of money if they go on like this, or should they make at least some commitments to become more environmental friendly, whatever it means in this case, as long as they are flying with kerosene. But at least this is also a discussion in the society, and I think that a lot of people have understood that we cannot go on with the world how it is right now, like we did in the past. We have to make a change so that we can go and have an existence. And if we destroy our planet, there was just a study a couple of days ago, if we are going on like this and producing all these carbon emissions, then in 50 years the temperatures will be so high that you cannot live in Africa and South America and so on and so on and so on. So this will be very terrible. So this is maybe the last warning, and I really do hope that the EU will really take some actions, and this is also something we as a group can work on, and to push and press people and really demand it, that also film producers are ready to make a change and not just get money and to pretend they're doing something, really to change their actions, and for example to choose locations more carefully so that there are not so many flights necessary, for example.
Yes.
Maybe I want to add to the discussion. As Birgit said, you have the European Green Deal, and it's like a big law that says that everything within Europe should be sustainable. And a few months ago, the people from Creative Media, the European Department on Media, they woke up and they said, oh, we should do something, but what? And slowly it's seeping in, and they are seeing that they have a big role because they give a lot of European money to filmmakers to come to Europe. So they can, like we do in Flanders, put a link towards sustainability and the funding. Say, okay, you can get our money, but think about the sustainable impact. That's one. But they could also do that for whatever project they fund. It could be a script writing project. They could talk about sustainability. So part of the challenge is, can Europe spend the European budget more cleverly and push people towards sustainability? And it's a no-go deal. If you don't do it, there's no budget. The second thing is, and I think it's very inspiring, they are thinking about, should we work on uniform tools and approaches at European level so that we have one tool, one set of guidelines for entire Europe and not 20 ones. And maybe also work on educating people that need to use them. And it could be that we want to educate people that already have a job within the sector now. So like to have a green runner or green location guide, but also train people, eco guides, that maybe it's a new type of job that should be in every country that can help them focus. Because if I come to Hungary and I can tell you about sustainable filming, but I don't know Hungary, so I can't help you in your country. So we always have this local expertise. But so for me, it's inspiring to see that at the European level, finally they wake up and they see that a lot of things have been happening all around them. And I hope that in the next coming weeks and months, maybe some changes will be visible. And it's time.
Yeah, it would be very nice.
But also there are different situations in different countries, I mean, the best practices that you can take on are always the same. I mean, reducing emissions by trying to avoid too much energy from a generator, for example, that you try to get your energy from the grid. This is something which is very essential, and to limit transportation, then not to use any plastic, single-use plastic, so that you don't have this plastic waste, then cut down on meat, then also using reused things like props, costumes. There's already a lot everybody can do. And this is not a rocket science. This is something, I mean, if you go to Tim's website or Green Film Shooting or so, you find all the different best practice guidelines and so on, or at EcoPort, at Joanna's site, you can find a lot of suggestions, recommendations, guidelines, also case studies, what can be done. So it's not that you need some European guidelines in order to start. Every little thing you do or you don't do has already an impact. And so it's also about thinking about it, what can be do in a more environmentally friendly way. This is really crucial. And of course, you can also always get recommendations, for example, in our Facebook group, or you can email us. Mm-hmm. There have been also training activities with green screen, but I understand this project is not in the training modus anymore, is it, Tim?
There we have a certification scheme, but if needed, we can repeat it. But there are options.
The training.
Yeah, if you need information, just ask, and there's so much available, and it's ready to use. Also on information on how to be sustainable, everything is available. I think it's also at that European level a challenge. We should not try to reinvent the hot water. It already exists. If you want to write a sustainable guideline for Hungary, use mine and only use the local links, change that, but use the same content, because, as Birgit said, it's existing. The same with calculators. Having a calculator, it's nice, but it already exists. Just use it and adapt it. And
very good. I will write you on the Facebook, okay?
Yeah. And you can also go to greenfilmshooting.net, and there's a download section, and there you can also download all the magazines and the Cinerico reports, where you have a lot of information, but you also find links to the different film funds, organizations that are dealing with green film production, and so there are links to their website, and then you also can see their recommendations. So there's really a lot of information already available, and as Tim said, just adapt whatever works best in your country.
Yeah, the problem is always we know is what to do, but sometimes producers, money makers doesn't care about that. So if you can make, please ask, don't do this, don't do that, you should. So this is why the EU, for maybe, or bigger, the UN, or I don't know, one who make regulation for these companies, for this whole industry. As you can't sell diesel car anymore in cities, or EU5 diesel car or something. So there are regulations for the car factories, regulation for everything, but I don't see real regulations. Okay, there are guidelines, but real regulations for the film industry.
This is why, because in the film industry, you say it right, there are no specific regulations for film production. So it's for all the other industries, because if you have film production, it reflects all different areas and industry of our life.
Yeah.
So we have a clothes industry, we have factories for energy, we have cars and food. So it all comes back. And so there are no certain limitations for film, and this is a trouble, yeah.
I want to add to that discussion. I saw a presentation at Berlinale this year, and it blew my mind. It was about the environmental impact of data transfer in the internet.
Yeah, I saw that too.
It's like 7% of all the carbon emissions are linked to data transfer. From that amount, the biggest was video on demand, Netflix and co. And the second biggest was porn. And the third was YouTube. But it is about how does a company like Netflix stream its data to customers when you watch porn or YouTube? Who if you watch porn, maybe you should like put up hands or not. But if you watch YouTube, the next video starts without you asking it. That's using energy. That's a server somewhere in a server park consuming a lot of gigabyte of bandwidth. It's even choices that will influence their impact. So it's not only about making the best sustainable film, it is also about how to sell it and where to sell it and what's the impact of Spotify on live. And so it's I think you have so many domains going from very obvious ones like transport and catering and energy, but it's also like you shoot a film in the forest. How do you behave in a forest? You shoot an indigenous tribe in the Amazon, how to behave in the forest and how to respect that tribe. So it's about it's much broader than just saving the environment. It's about awareness and many people that I talk in Belgium, they just don't know that they have an impact when they make a film. They think I'm fancy, I make films, I'm saving the planet. But if you tell them, okay, you spend a lot of money and you're like a spoiled brat, and by when you make that film, you have the same impact as 10 households per year in impact, and they just don't understand. They don't realize it that they have that impact. And I think that that's part of my job, is to make people aware that by making clever choices, you can really make a difference. I coached a TV series from the Flemish public broadcaster, and they saved a lot of carbon, but I think in the end they saved like 80,000 euros under budget by being sustainable. So it's for them it was the first time they ever thought about that.
Thank you. I think what we need to add, Joan, also to our discussion, and actually one of our in chat, Alex, already asked a question which Joan can answer and tell more about her experience and what we do in EcoProd. Maybe Alex, can you first ask your question? And Joan, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everybody.
Great. So, girls, can you, Alex? No, we don't have your voice. We don't hear you. Oh, so sounds really good background what she had. No. Okay. Alex, we don't hear you. Joan, maybe you can start with your a good explanation who you are and what you do in EcoProd.
I switch on the camera. Hello, everybody. Thank you to let me talk a bit. I'm really pleased to share with you all this idea and comment. I'm working for the Paris Region Film Commission, and we are one of the founder member of EcoProd. It's a collective project to raise awareness among the audiovisual sector in France about sustainability, more about the environmental impact than the sustainability in general. But now we are pushing all the topic about sustainability through this project, and we are also part of the Green Screen project team, and Birgit mentioned too. As Birgit and Tim said, it's really important to share, to bring concrete solution and positive solution, because environmental impact could be could make the people be fear about. So we developed some carbon calculator, some guidelines, very concrete guidelines. But this is not enough. It's not because you put free online tools that the professionals are using it. So it's really important to push them to use it by organizing training. So since 2 years, we organize free training for line producer, production manager, set manager, and so on. Training about best practices on the set, and we just launched a week ago a training about how to shoot on a natural landscape, natural place. I think there were a question, a remark about that on the chat, because it's, as Tim mentioned, it's a very specific skills to shoot on a wild forest, to about all those kind of pollution, the sound pollution, the smell pollution, because as a human we are providing kind of smell pollution which disturb the animals. So it's really important to manage, as we are doing in EcoProd, to gather all these environmental experts and to share their skills with the professional and to exchange, and like we are doing, it's really important. And also it's we are doing some lobby, of course, to the local, regional, national, and also European funds to implement some eco criteria on the film fund or eco bonus. Like we at the regional level, we have an eco bonus, so we are providing additional money to the film that are implementing green best practices on the set. But which is good, but to me it's not enough. I think we need to have green point on the application, like someone talk about it. And I know that in Italy, Trentino Film Commission, they are doing that. So we are now talking with the National Cinema Center to those kind of criteria, because it's similar to the other sector. We need to put more regulation. We need to raise awareness again and again and again and again. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, and Alex had a question. Was connected with additional money, I think. To ask one more time. Yeah, do you, like, give an extra point for application for film funds, regional or national, would be, so you already answered a little bit about that. Yeah, thank you very much. So you can go in chat, so it's a lot of links. So you can follow with chat links and go to get a little bit more information. For additional money and for additional point, what kind of movie it should be like applying? Is it like first time movie film director, or it's already like a second movie? What kind of experience need to have film director to apply for additional point of environmental things? What do you think?
Are you asking me? Yeah. I think it should be everybody, everyone. For fun, it's all kind of movies, cinema, TV series, documentaries, animation, first, second movie, whatever. So it's open to every project that that is eligible to receive the regional film fund. It should be open to everybody. Should not be any criteria, except that they have to prove that they will, and they implement some best practices.
Okay. Alex, do you have any more questions, or do? Okay, so, but you can type in if like we don't hear you, but we read you. Okay. I think that Nicolas wants to add some information from Green Cross. Nicolas? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I've been very interesting in the different shows, and if you want to have some more information, it's very good to keep in touch. My email is imbert, IMBERT, @gcft.fr.
Okay. Great. Thank you. So it's already a lot of links in the chatting. So it's nice that we share information, and it's good that it's people from different, let's say, experience background from the environmental and from film industry are coming together for to get the new goals, common goals for everyone. That's really good. Yeah, I don't do. If everyone have anyone had a question, so please give me some, I don't know, hands up. And yeah, we also have some like team says really good. So we have a filmmakers who is making the films. We have also like let's say supporting to production, and we also have film festivals, and we have two right now, except Barents Ecology Film Festivals, one from Germany and one from Croatia. So how's like a film festival supports, let's say. I will try. Yes, I will, team. I will get after all these links. So I will try to do my best and send that to everyone who is registered. So please send your email who is not registered before. Yeah, so how film festival supports, and it's a really good question for us as a Barents Ecology Film Festival. So for example, right now we have open call for the movies in 2020. Our additional, so the question is how to select the films who is following guidelines of environmental films. So, and how is it can be like helpful, make like helpful information for film festival, but it will be understandable for us. That because we got a lot of emails from film directors. Hello, we want that you will be adding us in competition program because we are really making a film production also in environmental way, which are really good, and we are really supporting that. But we also want to know like movies which are right now doing film production, and we can also help them to be, maybe follow some criteria and help them to be more involved in environmental film production part, and now in our festival too. So we have here Till from Cinema Rare. It's a German film festival. Till, are you here? And we have also Daniel.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, great. Hello, Till. Can you tell us your way how you like support the films from environmental film production?
To be quite honest, we only do that if we actually personally know that from the filmmaker then that obviously would be the criteria how the film's made. Generally, it's more the topic of the films. But I guess that generally goes in the same direction, right? I mean, you wouldn't really go out of your way and make a film on an environmental topic and then I don't know, eat everything from plastic and just use it once and throw it away. So I kind of think that's sort of the mindset that most filmmakers that make that type of film have anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I'm totally agree with you because what we had in our experience, we starting to have a pitching for the movies which are just planning for to make, and if filmmakers applying for the pitching, so we try to follow and help. So and yeah, try. So there is a little bit problem that we don't know if the films it's really made by criteria for for example film commission or film fund gives to us some recommendation, let's say. So we try to make our best and also to make a pitching for to sell for to help films to make more environmental way.
We could say in general that documentary films are often made in a way more environmentally friendly because the crews are much smaller, so there are not so many people involved. But on the other hand, of course, often also documentary films on ecology. Of course, these are also films where people take a lot of planes because they are going to very nice places, exotic landscapes, and so on, or see rare animals. So they do have then a footprint often regarding the airfares they take. But on the other hand, since they are small crews, there's not so much in the other departments. But the problem is, of course, since there is not so much green production at all yet, and there are not many data available. Therefore, it's also not really possible for festivals to make it a real criteria for the selection.
Yeah. Thank you. Daniel, do you have anything to add? From Daniel from Croatia.
Sorry, I lost a little bit because my kids start to cry, so I turn off that. Not be too
Yeah,
noisy.
how you select a film for your festival? How you follow the environmental criteria for
Uh-huh.
to select the
Okay,
film?
so we are using Film Freeway platform, and also we are selecting some films because of recommendation of other people, of other filmmaker. I see here. I think here is Elke. She was participant on our few festival, and it's something like a good voice going like echo. Everybody recommend. And also we are financing our festival of Croatian National Croatian Audiovisual Center, but this year it was transformation because of COVID-19. So at the last moment, I decided to make this 13th edition of my festival. So we will see. This year it will be something different. I hope that we will make only one day presentation of the winner in Zagreb, because, as you know, my festival is famous because of the cycling. We are cycling from city to city, but this year we will not use bicycle for transportation and how to say, to presenting our films to audience.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, you have really nice traveling by bikes, so it's really
Yeah, but
makes
this year is still closed. Some town is closed, and the border of Bosnia is closed too. So my festival is going through the Bosnia and Croatia, so now we can use anything. So this year, we only because of the how to say of edition of the festival, we decide to make some kind of virtual. But we will of course ask the winner to screen there is movie maybe one day, the last day on the online, or I don't know yet, but we will improvise on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just quickly,
Mhm.
I think that some role that we should also think about when you have a festival is the example you are for the public. It's not only about the stories you bring on your screens, but it's also about the way you organize yourself. If I come to your festival and I come to your bar,
Mhm.
shall you serve me a Coca-Cola in a plastic bottle or a beer in a glass? Or shall there be a debate about climate change or about gender after the screening? So you have a societal role to play as an organization, which is much broader than just selecting the right film. And like you taking the bike to drive to the different festival sites, it's very visible. And you tell all the people it's important to take the bike because it's better for climate, blah, blah, blah. So you have an example role in your day in, day out choices.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to add. Yes, if you make environmental festival, environmental events, and tell to people what how's it, I don't know, how's the waste of to
Yeah,
make waste management. So it's good to also follow that criteria for yourself. I remember that once we screen a movie about Cairo waste management. And when people like came out from the cinema hall, they said, "Yeah, why in Cairo in Egypt it's possible, so we can do it that too because it's people were do that. So why we are like people in Russia can't make the same? So it's really making motivation, and it's good to give away motivation directly in the cinema hall. Yeah, Daniel.
But I think that sort of goes without saying. I mean, I know one festival that does show environmental films and still use a lot of plastic and all kinds of things. I think most festivals, yeah, if you decide to make an environmental film festival, then the people on your board, they will have a mindset like that. So and will think about not giving out plastic bottles to guests and kind of come up with alternative ideas for transport, even though I admit we don't use bicycles. But I think generally most green festivals will try to not only have the films about green topics, but kind of have an overall green atmosphere for the entire festival.
Okay. Thank you. If anyone have questions, please try to uh, please hands up or give me information. We already like 1.5 hour or next 2 hours in discussion, so it's really nice, and it's nice if we can share our experience and our opinion right now here online because say it's the right time, it's getting new opportunity right now, and we are inviting as a Barents Ecology Film Festival. We have right now open call for films, so we will do also online film screenings from the films from last years, and we have open call right now for this year, and we do also have a pitching. So we are open right now for pitching for films wants to have who wants to produce environmental way films and on environmental topics. So it's a fiction and documentary, so you are choosing your way, but and we are really open to have all information about our pitching and help you to follow our criteria and help you to produce your film as much possible way as environmental as possible. Yeah. So if anyone have a question anymore, so thank you.
Only that I tell Dmitry asked me for festival. It's closing, entry is closed, but I can take on email some films without participation because I'm not announced yet the films, the list of the films. So I will write my email. So if he wants to just uh, send me yes email. Yeah, I will write that. So also that I tell maybe it's important that Till is here from Green Film Network. Also, yeah, also we got that Green Film Network who is I think 40 festivals. But I want to tell that Anna and me and few festivals from Belgrade, I think, and Ukraine, we make the first small network. It was maybe 10 years ago. I think it was when we first time meet each others. So I think this is a good cooperation. What you're talking about filming cooperation, also festivals cooperate which to each other. So I think it's a very important networking of the like this chat too. How we networking each others. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. It's nice. Yeah, it was long years ago when we started the cooperation. It's nice. If everyone wants to add any information or you want to send some link to everyone who is participating, so please you can send to me link directly, or you can write in the chat right now. And yeah, so and I will send to everyone information and links what we had right now, and also some more in about environmental film production. So thank you for everyone who is have been with us and take your time to tell about your story, and I hope that we will keep in touch. So yeah, bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.